Hey, what's up? Just want to talk about some books that I've read so far this year that have really stuck in the noggin. 7 Year Slip. I read the 7 Year Slip after viewing my bookshelf and realizing that I had a lot of books that I hadn't read, and it had been on my bookshelf for a little longer than I would like to admit. And I was like, bought it, gotta read it. And, it's a romance. I'm just a girl. I like romance novels, but they can be a little predictable at times, and the characters can be a little predictable. But the one thing that gave this one a little bit of a higher element, I think, was the fact that it added magical realism. And I thought that just gave it a little bit more zhuzh, made it a little more interesting for me, and made it feel like I wasn't reading the same thing over and over again, which sometimes can happen. It's the Big Swiss. This is about a woman who works for a sex therapist, and she transcribes all of his sessions, and she becomes a little bit obsessed with the patient and meets her in person, and they begin a sexual relationship, and it gets a little messy because she's a little messy. And it was fun to read about a messy person like that and getting into the mind of somebody like that. It deals with trauma and, repress sexual feelings a little bit. Good read. I'm getting into short stories, and one short story author that I would recommend to anybody any day is Mariana Enriquez. She writes short stories and actually has one full length novel called Our Share of the Night. But I started by reading The Dangers of Smoking in Bed, and that book, those stories are amazing. They're dark, they're twisted, they have something political to say, and they have a lot to say about our society and human nature, but in these tight, compact little stories that pack a real big punch. So once I finished that, I grabbed A Sunny Place for Shady People, which deals with the same things. It's the same themes of dangers of smoking in bed, but I don't think the stories stuck as much to me as the first one that I read, but it was still good. Still definitely something I would recommend. My next short story collection that I read was Rejection. This is a literary short story collection, and these characters all suck. And they're all losers. But I think the whole point of reading this was to remind us that we all are losers in our own way because we all have our own things like these characters have. And I think it really gets into the fact that within our society, especially, we're all a little bit performative in our own ways. And all these characters are performative, not for just the outside world and other people, but for themselves. And I think the whole point is to remember that we shouldn't let this performance get too much into our heads, or we'll be literal shits like the people in this book. This one had me in a chokehold for literally 2 weeks. It's A Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith. Also deals with obsession, but a little bit darker of a theme. You follow Tom Ripley as he finds this object of his desires, Dickie, and it watches him as we kind of ask the question of how far will he go to not only be with Dickie but be Dickie, and then what will he do in order to keep that performance and that facade up? Because in the end, Tom Ripley really isn't a person. He is whoever the situation needs him to be. He is an actor. Be so real, I don't know how to end this video. Follow me if you would like more content like this.